Hello, I'm reading Eevee. I have finished Forgotten. You still can't really see it. I can see it, the title, but I'm not sure if you can. But anyways, I finished it. So now, that brings my, you probably can't see it. I wonder. Okay. You can see a little. That's my reading challenge. I set it to 13, and Forgotten was my 13th book. Apparently, I don't know how to say 13. But anyways, so it's April 27th. I'll schedule this video for the 29th. I decided to, 29th, so I was looking at the calendar. I decided to try to schedule the videos, at least while I'm unemployed, and for every Wednesday. Today's Monday, so I got a head start. I've just been reading for like 4 hours a day, because my fiance works 8 hours, so I split it up. The first 4 hours is reading time, kind of for the videos, and because I missed reading after like taking a month to finish the last book. And then the other 4 is to do whatever. I got Animal Crossing, so I've been playing that. I think that was it. Like I said, I'm gonna try to post these every Wednesday. It depends on the book. The next few books aren't really that big. So we'll see. So, let's get started. I found it interesting to see another Kalona and Erebus. Couldn't read my writing for a second there. So if you've been following like my other reviews, the book is about like another world. Sorry, I just ate like chips and dip. But anyways, so they started out this book with kind of a what if Kalona hadn't fallen, which happened in the regular House of Night. Shit. I'm gonna hope that you can still hear that. I just realized I had the settings wrong, but I'm hoping it won't matter. Otherwise, I'll have to redo the intro. Anyways, so in the original like House of Night series, Kalona had fallen. It was, a big, if you've read The House of Night, it was a big thing in it. That's how Nefret became immortal, I think. Yeah. And he was evil, and that's how Rephaim came about, and all the Ravenwalkers. But Forgotten begins, what if he hadn't fallen? So Erebus gave him like some of his joy, which I'll get to in the next line. But he had given him some of his joy, and so he never fell. Everything was fine. He did end up being trapped in the earth still. Okay, which I'll talk about later. That's my future notes. But it started out with that. I thought the whole book would be kind of about that, but it hadn't really, I don't know, maybe it will expand on it. The first like couple of chapters were about that. It was funny how they made like a joke about having joy in a penis. I went right to the page. So basically, the way Erebus gave him... Oh, it was just that part. The way Erebus gave him joy was by pretty much injecting it, kind of like a needle, both a sword instead. So, like, he, like, inserted it into his heart. Is that where the heart is? I don't know anatomy. Anyways, he injected it into the heart, so he, like, stabbed the sword into his, not into the heart, but, like, into the chest where the heart is. Or actually, I think it was in the heart. It didn't kill him, though. But anyways. So it explains how he's gonna cut himself first, Erebus, over the heart, and draw out a drop of joy. Then I'm gonna take that drop of joy and put it into you. He was like, does that mean you're cutting over my heart too? And Erebus was like, it does. Unless you'd rather have a joyful butt, then I'll stick you there, or wherever else you'd like joy inserted. The tip of the golden sword wavered as Erebus pointed it between his brother's legs. I prefer the feeling in my heart, but... So it was kind of funny to me. They made like a few of those jokes throughout the book. I say a few, it was like a couple. So it was pretty funny. After that, we meet Kalona's mother, Mother Earth. So taking Erebus' joy, or a bit of it, had more of an effect than they thought they would. And it basically, he didn't become Kalona, but he just had like that darkness in him. And where they are in the other world, that's like their heaven. So darkness wasn't really allowed. So Kalona made a plan. Erebus first was talking to Kalona, and Kalona decided, like, he was like, I've been there. I know how alone it is. So he's like, I'm not gonna let Erebus do that alone. So after he found out he was lonely, he went to Mother Earth, which is Kalona and Erebus' mother. So I just thought it was interesting to meet her. As I kind of said earlier, Kalona still went to sleep for a while, but differently. So Erebus was like lonely for a partner, pretty much. Like, he had Nits, he had a friend, and then Kalona, his brother, but he wanted a partner. So Mother Earth was like, I can create a partner for Erebus, but it will mean that you have to go to sleep. It was basically like a sacrifice, because she was too tired to seduce the sun and the moon again to create Nits, I think is what, Nits. Or no, she created them. Anyways, so she needed a sacrifice. And so Kalona went to sleep for, I don't know how long, like probably centuries or something like that. Basically for a really long time, about the same time that he went to sleep in the regular House of Night. But in the regular House of Night series, he was trapped in the Earth. And he was in the Earth in the other world too, or the other, and Forgotten. But he was trapped in the Earth, and so it was more like a prison. Whereas this time he did it on his own. It was basically just a sacrifice so his brother can be happy. So it was a lot like better reason. And then we find out Erebus' mate is a man, which I thought was kind of cool that they put in there. Because they kept talking, like, not Erebus, Kalona was like, oh, I want to meet her, and blah blah. They kept just talking about women. And then Mother Earth created a partner that would most fit Erebus' wants and needs, and it was a man. We didn't meet him. Like, we learned that he was a man, and then Kalona went to sleep, basically. And then that was pretty much all. The rest of the story went to other people, like other Nephiret, and then Zoey, and then other Kevin. I'm hoping to see more in the next book. While I hate Nephiret, which, as you probably saw in other videos, that I really hate her, She like said this line about a man being in charge because of his business that I really liked. I wrote the page number down. Let me find it. That's 81, 83, 85. Okay. Let me see. So it was basically she was getting on a plane and she wanted privacy, and it became into like this ordeal kind of because it was very sudden, and sorry, I just feel like a weird itch on my leg. Anyways, it's the season of the flies. Maybe that's what it was. But anyways, and the pilot and like the captain and everything, it was all like men except for her and her partner, which I'll get to actually in the next note. So it was only them two women, and then the rest were men. And Nefret hates men, like because of her past. She just hates men. And they were pretty much just not listening to her, which Nefret doesn't like. But basically she said, the captain sent like a kid who liked Nefret because Nefret made out to be this beautiful woman, like super beautiful and blah blah blah, like a goddess type, kind of like knits, but she said like, I want privacy, nobody is to know I'm here. And then he was like, oh, he was just a kid, I didn't think you'd mind, or I figured it'd be alright. And so she killed the kid, first of all, and made it known that it was the captain's fault, which obviously it wasn't. I mean, sure, he was being a dick, but like, it wasn't his fault. So she says, do not ever be confused about who is in charge here, Captain Sturdivant, whatever. Sturdivant. And it didn't matter, Captain. Nefret almost spat the words at him. The archaic ideal that says you are superior because of that insignificant appendage that dangles between your legs does not apply here, nor will it ever again. So I just liked that line because it was funny. And I wish like our world was like theirs, like patriarch. I don't know. Women like runs it basically, and men aren't hated. They aren't seen as lesser. Like, they have real equality in that world, and which I love. Except for when it comes to Nefret, she hates men, but we don't like her. Lynette is the same as she was in Zoey's world. So we see another Lynette, the other Lynette, and she is the same, if not kind of worse. Like, in Zoey's world, Lynette was a hostage, but she saw how the other hostages were just easily being killed and taken over in I think the last book of House of Night, which I think is redeemed or rebuilt. I can't see. I want to say it's revealed. No, it's redeemed. Anyways, redeemed, the last book, whatever the last book is. Nefret holds hostages. And my ear itches. But like I said, Lynette saw how they were being treated and just killed without a second glance. So she pretended to be on Nefret's side out of fear, and kind of acted like she had Stockholm syndrome. Kind of. It was basically like fear. Like, on the outside, you would think she had Stockholm syndrome, but we got in her head, it was just like, Nefret's gonna find me and kill me if I don't do what she wants, or if I don't act like her friend. Whereas in this world, Forgotten, she just gladly, at first it was about, surviving. Oh. because she was working at the airport that Nefret took over and killed the men, the ones who didn't listen to her. And then it was just like, I will worship her until the end of time, or until my end of time, well, her end of time, because she's a human. And it was basically like she was kind of like in love with her, basically. Like, they weren't lovers, but it was just like, yeah. So I would say she's kind of worse in this world. Lauren Blake is alive in this world and still an ass. He's kind of more, well, I don't know about more, because in the I almost said first book, but in Zoey's world, he was a predator, went after like a 16-year-old girl, well, 17 at the time, but still, and when he was a teacher, so it was creepy. He didn't do that in this world that we know of, at least. He was still obsessed with Nefret. And even in Zoey's world, he only did it because Nefret told him to go after Zoey. But it was just still creepy. But in this book, he's obsessed with Nefret and doesn't want the war to end that Nefret caused. And he like even posted on Instagram that like he misses her. He didn't name her, but like anybody who knew him and anybody who knew him knew who he was talking about. But yeah, he was still an ass. And I wonder, hold on, my notes are off. I like messed up on writing it. But anyways, Nefret ends up killing him, which I liked, because he was just getting annoying. We didn't see him much, but he was annoying. So they were talking about people being killed, and Kevin reminded me, I wrote here, Kevin reminded me of Lord Farquaad. I wish I wrote a page number down. I think they were like, Kevin or other Kevin was talking about opening the world up, or going to visit Zoey's world, which is their other world, and Anastasia became high priestess in this book, and she was like, no, that's a bad idea, like, people could be killed, and blah blah blah, like, bad things could happen. And he was like, that is a risk I'm willing to take. So it just reminded me of, some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I am willing to make. I wrote, Grandma Redbird gets toxic masculinity. Page 140. I kind of remember, other Kevin is grieving after Aphrodite died, or other Aphrodite. And so she finally gets to Kevin, or other Kevin, and is like, grieve. No, my sweet boy, do not hide your grief. There is no shame in showing your tears, Kevin. Being a man means claiming all of your power. Strength without honest emotion is toxic to yourself, and eventually makes you toxic to others. How can you truly love without showing sadness, acknowledging loss, and dealing openly with despair? Which I definitely agreed with, especially how in this world, which feminists is trying to change that, but it's like seen as weak to cry, and for men, like a woman can cry all day long, but like if a man sheds a tear, he's weak and I don't know, gay or some shit, whatever toxic masculinity says. So I really like that they included that in there. I like somehow messed up on the organization of my notes, and like I mixed my notes up with the last book. Okay. I wrote like a lot of page numbers down in this one, Aphrodite spoke the truth about politics in Oklahoma, which she did. I want to say they had like a swim meet. They were trying to, get the vampires more involved with humans and stuff. So they're at a swim meet, and they're talking about humans being mean, about vampires and how they're ignorant. Stevie Rae says, because ignorance makes some folks real mean. Aphrodite said, let's face facts, there's a lot of ignorance in Oklahoma. Stevie Rae is like, Aphrodite, be nice. And she says, what? Okies keep voting in the same idiots who keeps lining their own pockets and being apathetic about education and healthcare. Seriously, don't get me started on stupid Okie politics, which I definitely agree with. Our politics just suck. And that's my professional opinion. No, okay. But I really like how they put that in the book. Just because it's true, like, they don't really care about people at all. It's really more about profit. And the education in this state is terrible. I don't really feel like I got a real education until college. But that's not the point. Who cares about that? So they introduced like a new character, briefly. It was at the swim meet. She was a swimmer. Her name is Casey. And we saw her like once, and I really liked her. Dang, this has already been going on for like 22 minutes. Anyways, and I liked her. She seemed kind of bitchy, but like a bitchy teenager, who was kind of sick of things. Maybe that's why I liked her. But she like rejected the change at the first swim meet the house and I went to, which was sad to me. I mean, anytime like somebody rejects a change on there, it's kind of sad to me. I say kinda. It is sad. And like I didn't feel like a connection to her, but it was just like, oh, here's this possibly great character, which I should have known they would have tried to kill her off. But she was given a second chance thanks to Aphrodite's powers, and woke up a fully changed red vampire. And she actually has an affinity for fire and water. And I think she might be in Found, the last book of the OtherWorld series. I'm hoping, at least. For my next, I wonder if Lynette will be the future kill. So, Nefret, invoked the sprites, or whatever you call it. And she was like, I need to the Isle of Skye, because she was on a quest to become immortal in the OtherWorld, because she hasn't yet, since Kalona isn't, because in the House of Night, Kalona was like visiting her dreams or something, basically whispering in her ear. I went to quote, but I didn't actually quote, but was basically like whispering in her ear. But in this world, Kalona isn't fallen, so he didn't do that. He was, whereas in the other, or Zoey's world, he was trying to get out of his prison. So anyway, she's on a quest to become immortal. The White Bull she visited, and he told her to ask the sprites for a quest instead of a sacrifice. And their quest was kill the past and future you. So that's how Lauren Blake dies. He was her past, since they were lovers. Which I don't really know why it was him, but I don't know. Anyways, and so they had that taken care of, and then they just needed to kill the future part of her. So I thought that was gonna be Lynette, because she's her handmaid or whatever. And then Aphrodite had a vision, and it was kind of confusing. Aphrodite's visions are usually confusing because of how she sees it. But it was basically Nefret. She sees Nefret or has escaped the grotto, which in Zoey's world that's what they trapped her in. And so she sees that, and basically a human is being killed. And she knows that if that human is killed, then they're in trouble. So I was like, which I figured before, and when I read that scene, I said, yep. However, other Nefret did not sacrifice Lynette. So I just realized how much that kind of rhymed together. So Lauren gives her information about the other world, Zoey's world, tells her that the other Nefret is trapped, or, well, that Nefret is trapped. This is the other Nefret. And they come to, like, conclusion that they can ask ask Nefret how she became immortal. So basically, instead of going to the Isle of Skye, she wanted the sprites to take her to the other world, to Zoey's world. And so they had asked for a sacrifice, and they said Lynette. And she actually surprised me. I figured the minute that she had to sacrifice her, she would, without even blinking. But she didn't. So I kind of... Oh, I don't have more notes. So I kind of like the other Nefret just for that fact. Like, because the Nefret that we knew in House of Night, she was basically obsessed with Zoey and was just, like, jealous of a child and blah, blah, blah. And basically... And that's not why she became dark. Sorry. That's not why she became dark, but it was just, like... I don't know. I think she is better written. I don't want to say better written. I think it's just more my preference. She kind of fit that better in this book. And that's not to say, like, I love her or anything. Like, I still hate her. And I hope she does die, honestly. Since she's not immortal, she can die. But, like, I think she doesn't really remind me of, like, Voldemort anymore. Like a villain who's just obsessed with a child. And, like, blames everything on that child. And she's still, like, pretty petty and everything. Like, she's not really better. I think just without Zoey, she's, I don't know, different. But honestly, I think it's really more because she surprised me. I really thought she would sacrifice Lynette. Instead, a different character, Denise, who was working at the hotel that they stayed at, pretty much the whole book, she, like, said, I'll sacrifice myself. And Nefret was like, no, I don't ask this of you. She was like, and that's why I'll do it, because you didn't ask. I don't know. It's not that she has, like, more of a heart. It's just she's not completely selfish. Like, she has ties to somebody else. But I still hate her, though. But that hasn't changed. So that was all I had for Forgotten. There is one more book coming out in the Otherworld series, and that is Found. Oh, sorry, there was, like, writing, obviously, on the back, and it was from Oak Sprite, the Sprite that we mostly know. Anyways, not the point. Found comes out July 7th, sadly, so it'll be a little while before I have that. Next book is Suki. This is the fiance's book that he's been wanting me to read for a couple of months now. A few months now, a lot more than a couple. So I am finally going to read his book. I'm hoping to have a review of that out by the May 6th. Right? Yeah, May 6th. And this review, like I said, will be out the 29th. So that's when you guys hopefully will be watching this. Oh, sorry, I saw a picture that you can't. Oh, right there. Anyways, he's cute, obviously. But I'm excited to read this. Kind of nervous because I'm hoping I like it. I'll be sad if I don't. Maybe I won't admit that I don't if I don't. No, I'm kidding. But that is all I have. So, hope you enjoyed the review. That should be all for the OtherWorld series for a while.